this week's video. This week's video is going to be all about cooking habits, okay? Because the number one thing that everyone does when they start doing a health journey and trying to be healthier is start cooking from home, right? Well, I got some 5 things that you may be doing that you think are healthy but aren't exactly healthy and could actually backfire on you on your health journey. So you could gain weight or something like that with it. So let's get right down to the first one. The first one is when you're cooking, you're not measuring. So you're not measuring all the ingredients going in. So your recipe could go very bad. Or you could always just use just a little bit too much of something, okay? So let's use an example, maple syrup. It's a great natural sweetener, but if you're not measuring, you're just like, ooh, you just could be putting just a little too much sugar in there. That's just one example, okay? And another thing, it's like your rice or your meats. And depending on how much is needed for the recipe, you can go a little overboard with that stuff too, and the recipe will then for not be as healthy, okay? Rice meat, they're good, they're healthy, but too much, right? It's all about balance, and that's what recipes are, right? So measure, okay? Number 2, I'm guilty of this one, okay? It's tasting a little too much of your recipe, okay? As you're tasting, as you're cooking, and then you have your portion size after. Well, you had more than your portion size because you were tasting the whole time, right? So, having a taste, like here and there, is okay. But when it gets up to like 5 times, like of soup, you're like tasting the soup like 5 times, a little too much, okay? Okay, or if you're grabbing some nuts and cheese, because you could be making something with those things, like with cheese or with nuts, and you're just grabbing a little bit as you're making it. That's kind of like snacking while you're making, right? And that's also not good, because then then you measure out your portion size, because you're like, okay, I'm done. I measure out my portion. So whoever measures out portion sizes, I don't, and I don't teach my clients to do that. But that could also backfire in the end, right? Another tip here is you could be too heavy on the oil. Now, this is something I was guilty of, because I was like, okay, I hit a plateau. What am I doing? What's going on? And a lot of my clients are actually like this as well, okay? And it's one thing that we switch up is we just switch up oil. We actually start measuring out the oil, or we stop cooking with oil whatsoever to kind of get their metabolism going again, okay? So oil could be like a huge thing. There are so many calories in like an oil, and olive oil is like a big one for that, okay? So there's around 120 calories per tablespoon in some oils, okay? Like, that is a huge amount of calories that you're not even counting half the time, right? If you are counting calories or eating in that sort of way, right? So what I do is I actually I have like 2, maybe 3 meals a week that actually have oil. Everything else has 0 oil, okay? And it's just like here and there going, I feel like some fried rice, so I'm gonna fry up some rice, right? It's not an everyday thing. It's not like when I make a stir fry, I'm gonna use oil every single time. You do not need to use oil every single time. You can actually just use a little bit of water and spices, and it can go a long way. Like, it's gonna be like with our carrots, we use a little bit of water and some cinnamon and nutmeg. Like, that's really good. I don't need oil. Right? So there's things in there that you can kind of switch around and not use oil, or actually start measuring out your oil, so you're not consuming so many calories that you're not really thinking you're consuming, right? The next one, tip number 4, is you're not paying attention to serving sizes, okay? So there's this great, have you ever seen the hand diagram? I'm gonna put it right up here, okay? And it's all about serving sizes with your hand, and it's like the best, okay? Visual thing, because you can just kind of look at your hand and go, okay, it's fine, and then eat it, right? With my clients, we eat when we're hungry, don't eat when we're not hungry, right? But if you're one to measure out serving sizes, that's great. If you're really stuck going, I need to lose weight, you have to measure out your portion sizes. You have to count your calories. If you're like, I need to lose weight, I need to lose a lot of weight for medical reasons, that's when the measuring starts coming in. If you're just trying to live the healthier lifestyle and have healthier habits, measuring it in calories are not that important. It's all about switching your habits and your behaviors more than anything, and then learning about the food and learning what you're putting into your body, because in that and then for overall will just change everything, your calorie intake and your portion sizes. Okay, but a big thing is just being aware of portion sizes, right? All these tips, it's just so you can be aware and see where you're kind of lacking, and then you can kind of pinpoint some of them where you can kind of work on. Does that make sense? It's not like you need to do this, you need to do that. It's like this is what could be happening, especially if you're in a plateau, and it's something that you can work on, right? The next one, number 5, and this is my favorite one, and a lot of people have difficulties with them because they're not so creative, which is why I have my app with all these, like, I have hundreds and hundreds, and I'm getting close to like 400 recipes on my app that are healthy and sugar-free or made with natural sugars. And it's number 5 is keeping recipes as is. So if you're like, these are chocolate chip cookies, they have to be made this way. They don't have to be. You could switch out the flour. If you need more protein in your diet, why don't you switch out the flour to be almond flour or chickpea flour? They have it's chickpeas ground it up, right? Or almonds ground it up. Like that is protein. It's fiber. If you need more fiber in your diet, right? You could do stuff like that. If your kids are off meat, like my kids really don't like meat, so what we do is we bake muffins and breads and cookies and pancakes, and we put protein powder in it. Is that called for in the recipe? No. I just realized that my kids aren't eating protein, so I'm putting it into their diet. Right? Or if it calls for sugar and you want to go sugar free, just replace it with a natural sugar, or like a natural sugar like monk fruit, or you can use maple syrups or use dates instead, something to sweeten it up, right? You don't have to just stick with the cup of sugar, right? You can switch it up. So doing this, changing up recipes, you can keep your favorite meals and favorite foods in there just by switching a few things out here and there to make it healthy. And then it's not that big of a change. You still have all the flavors, the textures, all of that. It's just a little bit more healthier for you, right? So the bottom line of this entire video, okay, is just like, don't panic if you have all these like cooking habits, okay? It's just to give you awareness, so you can maybe go, oh, maybe that's what I need to work on. Oh, okay, maybe I need to be more aware of it and kind of change my habits up a little bit, okay? Because I'm the big cooker and baker in my house, all right? I am, and I that's all me. That was all me. And now it's not. I'm changing up recipes to make them more healthier. We're not using oil as much. We are watching portion sizes. I do start off with a small portion, and if I'm still hungry, I'll grab just a little bit more. And it's being aware of your body and how hungry you are and your hunger cues, okay? So start off small. I even sit there and talk to people for a little bit, then I go, I am hungry. Because if you finish eating and immediately go for your second portion, you don't have your time for your body to catch up, okay? You don't have time for your stomach to tell your brain, oh, I'm not hungry anymore, right? So then you kind of tend to overeat. So you just want to sit, have your portion, have a little bit of conversation, and you go, okay, I'm hungry, and you go get another one, okay? So I've kind of made that my habit, and I don't taste anything during baking. What I do after the baking is like baking. That was like my big, like chocolate chips. Yeah. Afterwards is I split a cookie between me and my girls, and we try it out. And we're like, is this recipe good? Is it bad? And they're like, oh, it's good. And then when snack time is or something, we'll have a whole one, right? But that's just kind of like how we taste it now, right? And we measure stuff out. We do the important stuff. Like flavors. Yeah. We do. No, we measure our ingredients, and I'm very careful and aware of that, especially when I'm showing you guys how to make stuff on here. I'm very aware of that and conscious of that. Okay. But that's our video for today, is just being aware of some of our cooking habits that could be kind of not derailing, but could be interrupting our healthy habits, our healthy lifestyle. Okay, but that's our video for this week. I hope you guys have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys next week.